It's a great pleasure to see the audience here, the people that we're getting to talk to, and it's even a greater pleasure to me and honor to be representing some of the finest band of brothers I've ever known, the people that I worked with at Area 51. We got some very notable people up on this panel. We also got the same caliber right out in the audience among you. So we are honored, the group of us up here, to represent the whole group as a whole. I'll tell you a little bit about us before I turn it over to Annie. I'll give you a little oversight. But first of all, every one of us, including the Air Force, worked for the CIA. They started the U-2 program with the first settlers out at what we called Watertown at the time. In 1955, they moved in, and we were needing a plane to be able to see what the bad boys across the Iron Curtain were doing. So we developed the U-2, but we soon realized that it was subject to being shot down at any time. So we started designing a plane that could outrun and outfly any missiles. And unfortunately, we did not get it built before we did get shot down when Gary Powers got shot down over Russia. But we did build a plane, and the engineers, some of them that's on this panel, you'll be talking to them, some of the pilots, the navigators, whatever. But we built a plane that preceded the SR-71. Everybody knows about the SR-71, but not the A-12. The A-12 was a single pilot plane, whereas the SR-71 is two pilots. Now, the SR-71 claims all the speed records in the world. The reason is we did not exist until 2 years ago. We were classified for 50 years. No one knew about us. They knew about the planes in 1991, I believe it was, that we put some of the planes we brought them out of storage and put them in museums. But the group of us were unable to tell our wives, families, even each other, what we did when we went to the area or wherever until September 19th, 2007, when the CIA declassified the mission. And they brought us to CIA headquarters, and the director put his arms around us and told us what a good job we did, and got his picture taken with us, because we were a good thing that happened within the CIA. It's something that they can be very proud of, because as you know, they get beat up every time they turn around for things not going right into war or whatever, whether they're guilty or not. In most cases they're not, but they have to take the heat and they can't defend themselves. But with our program, we developed a plane. It was the very first titanium plane. We built the plane that Lockheed built it with a lot of help from the engineers. We had a lot of people involved. We had camera people involved. We had the engine people. Some of them are sitting on this panel. But when we started building this plane, we built out of titanium. We found that we had no tools to use titanium. A drill bit would last just about 3 revolutions. So titanium is one of the hardest metals on Earth. So we had to invent every tool that we used to build that plane. And titanium was new to us, and we kept having little failures here. The welds wouldn't hold this and that. And it was being processed right here in Henderson at Time It. We soon realized that the United States did not have a good enough quality of uranium. So this plane that we were building for the sole purpose of flying over the Soviet Union, we went to Russia and bought our uranium. Titanium. To build a plane. They had no idea what was used it for, but the metal that we used to build a plane did come from our adversary. But anyway, we built this plane. They got it built. It flies 2,200 miles an hour, a little bit more than that, which is faster than a rifle bullet. Flies above 80,000 feet. It gets very hot. The windshield get up, 700, 800 degrees just on the windshield. They had to design a camera system that flying at that speed and at that altitude with the lens cover, maybe reaching temperature, maybe even 1,100 degrees, and be able to take a photograph of a car tag that you could read when they processed the film. So that was some of the challenges that our engineers had to build this thing. The pilots, we built 15 planes, we lost 5 of them. We lost 2 of our pilots, 2 out of, I'll say 8 pilots. We had more than that. Some of them flunked out or left the program early. We ended up with 6 pilots that actually went to Cardena, and we went operational. We flew 26 missions over North Vietnam, locating the SAM sites that were shooting down our planes during the Vietnam War. And they were shooting missiles at our boys. Jack Layton here was one of them. They shoot, every time they go up there, they'd be shooting missiles, but they couldn't catch them because that plane was flying so fast the missiles couldn't even touch them. But we flew those missions, and then when the North Koreans seized the USS Pueblo in 1968, some of you remember that they kept the crew for over a year. They still got the boat, even today. Well, we flew 3 missions over North Korea. The first one was by Jack Weeks. He flew over and to find out whether it was an act of war or was it just an incident. Were they mobilizing? Were tanks on the move? What was going on? 2 weeks later, one of our other pilots, Frank Murray, he'll be back in here in a minute, he flew a second mission. Unfortunately, we lost Jack shortly after that, just as the program was ending. They were bringing the planes back to Groom Lake, and one of the engines was overheating, had a little problem. He took it out for a fundamental test flight, and we never heard from him again. And whatever it was so sudden, he had no chance to give a distress call. We had what we call the bird watcher system. It was the telemetry, you might say, we got like 4 chirps indicating there's something wrong before it went blank. So whatever happened very, very quickly. We lost another one of our pilots at Groom Lake. The plane itself, we flew 2,850 missions out of Groom Lake that the world did not know about. And this is some of the flights that we had George Knapp on here last night, and we get a chuckle because that was the UFOs the people were seeing. They see these planes flying all over the country here at 2,200 mile an hour, 85,000 feet, and people see them and they report them. Well, this is back when they had, Air Force had Project Blue Book, investigate UFO sightings. And they would investigate the sighting and then find out it's a top secret mission out of Groom Lake, and they would have to concoct some kind of a cover story to explain it. And that's the reason they got such a bad image, for some of their stories didn't really hold water. And they, to this day, they're anything they say is they're skeptical, but they were covering for us. Sam Peasel, the second man here on my left, he was one of our mission planners. As we flew these missions throughout the United States, wherever, he planned the missions where we would not go over any populated cities because of the sonic boom that we obviously left when we flew these missions. So, and it's also his job when the complaints started coming in about the sonic booms, they come into Nellis or wherever, it was his job to deflect the blame to the Navy at Fallon. They took all the heat for it. But I'm going to leave a lot of the stories to the panel. There's so many stories, they're so rich, and like I say, 2 years ago we could not even think about talking about what we do today. And even today when we get together, our group, we learn something new that went on, because back then we did not talk. They did not know me. We was all on the same base, with the same mess hall. We flew in separate vehicles. Planes up to the area would fly up on Monday morning, come home Friday night. Our wives did not know where we was going, what was doing, and this went on for year on end. And I've got to comment on that. The widows of the pilots we lost are still family today. Some of them are here today. Our every event, the widows are still with us. The kids are still with us. We never drifted apart, which leads into another thing. There's virtually no divorces in our group. Yet under those, and this speaks highly for the selection process that we went through, and I'll let the pilots tell about that, because they run us through every test in the world. You answered, someone said last night, the questionnaire was longer than a bed sheet, and none of it made sense. But they, whatever they did, they were smart, and they knew what they were doing. They picked a group of people that could work 5-6 days a week up there, knowing that they'd been spied on by the Soviets and everything else, and their families was home and take care of the kids, raise the kids and all. But we all stayed together. We're still together today. So I'm going to stop at this point and turn it over to Annie, and then we'll pick